It's time for Drummer Nation. Rich Thompson is an associate professor of jazz studies and contemporary media at the Eastman School of Music and is a member of the Eastman Jazz Trio and Quartet with Harold Danko, Clay Jenkins, and Jeff Campbell. He has performed with the Count Basie Orchestra, the Rochester Philharmonic, and many major orchestras throughout the United States and Canada. Rich has given masterclasses and concerts at numerous colleges in the United States, France, Denmark, Thailand, Japan, and Newfoundland. I caught up with Rich on a road date with the Byron Stripling Quartet featuring renowned trumpeter Doc Severinsen and had a chat in his dressing room just before the gig. Sound Synergy's percussion care lubricants and conditioners include a series of 3 products for total drum kit care and maintenance. Percussion care products in your gig bag ensures your entire kit will always look and sound its best. Check out their website at soundsynergies.net.
I absolutely love playing drums, and I couldn't imagine not having that in my life. And I really, if I could help facilitate that and have an impact on your life so that you can play drums, that means the world to me.
Created specifically for practice sessions, quiet tone practice cymbals by Sabian are designed to respond and feel like traditional cymbals, right down to their clearly defined bell, so the drummers won't have to change the way they play. Quiet tone practice cymbals by Sabian.
Hi, this is Stanton Moore. I've been playing and teaching drums for over 30 years. My new site, Stanton Moore Drum Academy, is the perfect online drum learning platform for any level drummer to learn how to play the drums the same way I did. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you as subscribers on the site, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun.
Welcome to another edition of Drummer Nation. I'm on the road tonight at Reinhardt College in North Georgia, where it's my pleasure to sit in the dressing room and chat a bit with Rich Thompson.
Hey, Michael. Good to see you again.
Thank you for doing the show. You know, it's just been about a year to the date that we did the last one you were on, which was in New Orleans for the Gen Convention.
I think so. Yeah, there were a lot of great players there. I think you sort of loaded up your video catalog that week.
I did. I shot so many. It was great. It's like a roving diplomats coming in and out of my studio there.
That's right.
So you're here working with who?
Well, I'm working with the Byron Stripling Quartet that I'm on the road with frequently. And we've been doing a lot of shows in the last couple of years with Doc Severinsen, who Byron's known forever, and of course we've all watched when we were kids on the Johnny Carson show growing up. And Doc likes the quartet. He likes the informal nature of it compared to doing a symphony gig or something like this, or a concerto. And we get to play jazz, and that's really all he wants to do.
Well, he's privileged to do whatever he wants. He's earned that.
That's true.
You know, I lived in Los Angeles in the 80s, and I had a friend at NBC, and whenever a great musical guest was going to be on the show, I would get passes to come in and see the rehearsal.
Oh, great.
So I didn't, have to deal with the hours of waiting to see the show, but I would always go see the band, which was great, and Doc, of course, was there, mostly Ed Shaughnessy.
Right. Sometimes Joe LaBarbera would fill in,
or Nick.
And a couple other guys. But.
Yeah. So I've been hearing Doc for a long time. I was just privileged to hear the sound check. Man, he sounds great. He's not a spring chicken.
Oh, man, it's his 90th birthday. It was his 90th birthday last April, and how many guys get to celebrate their 90th birthday for a year?
Well, and trumpet is a young man's game for most people would say. And his
bet.
sound is still enormous and wonderful. I can't wait to hear the concert.
Oh, great. Yeah, we have a great time with him. And, of course, the quartet that plays together all the time. We do the jazz cruises, which we're doing in a couple weeks, and tour all over the world with this quartet for the past 10 years. And so we get to play the first 4 or 5 tunes and play all of the arrangements that we do, things from Kenny Dorham to, oh my gosh, I'm just blanking.
Jazz standards.
So many good ones.
Who's in the band? Let's give credit to them.
Well, it's Byron Stripling, of course, on trumpet, and Larry Cook on bass, and Bobby Floyd on piano and organ.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like a working group, just from what I heard.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's a pleasure to be with a working group in this economy, in this state of the musical affairs, as they were.
Hey everybody out there in cyber world, this is Adam Nussbaum.
Hi, Dave DeCenzo here.
Hi, Bermuda Schwartz here.
Hey everyone, Stanton Moore here.
Hey guys, Johnson Pesta here.
Hey everybody, this is John J.R. Robinson.
Hi, Todd Zuckerman here for the Drum Center of Portsmouth. They're knowledgeable, they'll be able to help you and guide you and make the right choices for you and the music that you play.
From Wingnut to Wuhan, These chaps know what they're talking about. Highly recommended. But what do I know? I'm a drummer.
So in the beginning, we'd get to do a lot of jazz standards, and we do things by Kenny Dorham. We do things, Duke Ellington, just various people. We're doing some new stuff now with Freddie Hubbard off of Ready for Freddie. And a lot of people would say, well, what about your originals? And we do a couple originals, but there are so many of these great jazz standards that aren't getting played in this day and age. And we like to do those just so people can hear those.
That brings up a lot of things I want to ask you about. You're still holding forth at Eastman School of Music, right?
Well, I am.
How long have you been teaching there?
I've been there for 22 years after coming off the road with the Count Basie Orchestra in the fall of '96. I started there. I continued to go out with the Basie Band through Labor Day of '97, but I've been there for 22 years, and it's a nice gig. You know, I feel really fortunate to have something like that because not only do you get great students, but you also get a chance to tour and do things because they want you to do that. They encourage that. They don't demean you for doing stuff like that.
Well, sure, you bring all that back.
Oh, absolutely. You meet a lot of great people on the road, professional students, whatnot, and that's what we do, and that's kind of what feeds our dynamic.
Well, the whole thing about a great school like Eastman and several of the others is that you are studying from gigging, working, active, real jazz players.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the quartet, the Eastman Jazz Quartet, was Harold Danko on piano for 21 years, Clay Jenkins on trumpet, Jeff Campbell on bass, and myself.
You gotta have the right stick. And Bopworks makes that stick. It's the perfect sound for any venue. I really understand the problems drummers are facing, and I know what a good drumstick sounds like. I'm a self-professed drumstick nerd. Big manufacturers don't make them like they used to, but we do. So you can dial in the right sound, get exactly what you want. They're the best jazz drumsticks that have ever been created.
I have a new trio recording that's out that's been interviewed and reviewed in high fidelity. It's called Triosity. It's with great saxophonist and doubler Charles Pillow and Jeff Campbell and myself. And so we're really starting to get more work and play with that, and are going to be doing some jazz festivals this summer.
Now at Eastman, what if I studied from you as a drummer? My degree would be in what? What are my choices there?
Well, it could be in a jazz performance degree with a drum set being your major instrument. It could be a jazz writing degree, or it could be, you could combine a jazz ed and a jazz performance degree.
Is there a drum set degree that's not jazz focused?
No, not at Eastman at this current period.
That's a topic gets tossed around amongst drummers. Is when you come out of school with a jazz degree, you should know jazz music.
Well, that's true.
You may not be playing Lee Morgan tunes on a gig when you go out into the world, but it is a jazz degree, and you should be familiar with that book, that library.
Well, what I tell my students is, look, I'm not trying to necessarily make you 100% jazz drummers when you come out, because let's face it, there might not be enough work to keep you alive from week to week. But if you can play the music that's in our repertoire and the stuff that we're working on, the vocabulary, and if you can play with the musicality that's required to play all of that repertoire, you're going to be able to play anything you want.
That's a good point. That's why jazz has made its way into the curriculum in lots of great universities over the years.
I hope so. It doesn't, I enjoy playing a lot of different styles of music, even though I'm known as a jazz drummer. But, I call myself a closet this or that just because it's fun to be able to deviate and play those different kinds of musics. But it's all one thing. You're always trying to be supportive and make the band sound good, make the people around you sound good, and make them feel comfortable.
I think that's the best definition of a drummer's job, because most pro drummers play amazing amounts of different styles and lots of different types of music.
Absolutely.
And the one thing that cements the gig in every setting is make the band sound good.
Right. Mel Lewis said it, best for me when he said he's like the couch. He wants everybody to be able to sit down on this couch and just feel comfortable. And, you know, there are a lot of guys that are a lot faster than I am or have a lot of different kinds of chops, but I just want to be on the team, and I want to be trying to be supportive and making people feel good and making the music sound good.
I think that's true of most professional drummers. They want to be working musicians who get on a bandstand and make the music sound good, make everybody feel good, read the dynamics of the people, listen to the music. And it doesn't really matter what the styles are, but coming from a jazz background certainly does prepare you for a lot of other things.
Absolutely.
Sound Synergy's Percussion Care lubricants and conditioners include a series of 3 products for total drum kit care and maintenance. Pedal Lube, the only product specifically designed for bass drum, hi-hat pedals, and triggers, as well as all moving metal parts and drum hardware, safely removes grit, grime, and other contaminants while protecting against harmful friction wear. Cymbal Care restores and conditions cymbal surfaces without strippers or harmful polishes. Wear Barrier is a conditioning formula for all drum heads, rims, and even sticks. Percussion Care products in your gig bag ensures your entire kit will always look and sound its best.
A lot of young people think that why would you go back and study classic jazz? Why would you transcribe something that Philly Joe played or Elvin Jones or something like this? And I tell them, well, why do people keep doing Shakespeare 600 years later?
Why do they still play Beethoven?
Right. I mean, it's great music, and it's not going to hurt you to learn that phrasing and that musicality. In fact, it's going to do the exact opposite.
So what are the ensembles that kids can play in at Eastman?
Well, there are 8 jazz combos that they can be a part of. In fact, I can only take 8 students in my studio because we want everyone to be able to play in their own combo, and there are 4 big bands. So there are 2 drummers per big band.
Well, that's great. So how have you seen it change over the 20 years you've been there in terms of what you're teaching or the kids who come in and out or directions in drumming, or what's been the dynamic there?
Well, I think for the most part, you always run in waves. You always run at where you're cresting something with some really talented kids, and then you get some younger kids, and you're building those kids back up. But I think because of the advent of the internet and information being so accessible, that you see young high school kids coming in all the time, and you wonder how in the world do they have this much together for their age? Because they were privy to so much more than you and I were when we were their age. We would have to go out and buy the vinyl record, and then we'd have to drop the needle in the same place, or check the music out, put your thumb on the platter on the turntable to slow it down, whatever it was. These kids, they don't even buy music anymore. They just buy a computer and go to YouTube.
On the other hand, we saw the first generation of those players. I mean,
Yes.
you and I are old enough to, I'm sure you saw Max, and you saw Art, and you saw Tony and Elvin and Mel and Shelley and on and on.
Yes.
And those were the guys who invented those styles.
Right. And there was something about being there live and seeing that music and being a part of that tradition right there, as opposed to seeing it on a video on YouTube.
Right. Sitting at just downstage to Elvin's hi-hat side.
Absolutely.
Watching him play 3 gigs in a week.
Absolutely. And I mean, having
hard to do.
him, buy you a beer and put his arm around you and say, let's get a picture or something.
I have a picture with Elvin I treasure.
Oh, I do too. I have it in my studio. It's just setting up on my shelving.
I didn't know what to say. I met him, and what are you going to say? You play good? I said, I love you, man.
Yeah,
That's all I could think of to say to him.
Wow.
Yeah, me too, brother. And he held my hand, and we got a great picture.
I know.
What a great guy.
Yeah, and that also, to meet these gentlemen and see them act as compassionate as they acted towards younger musicians coming up. That's something that I wish for my students if they could have felt that.
Well, they get it from the next generation. They get it from you and all the other guys out there.
Yeah, hope we can pass that along.
Yeah.
Created specifically for practice sessions, quiet tone practice cymbals by Sabian are designed to respond and feel like traditional cymbals. Drummers will appreciate their greatly reduced sonic footprint at practice sessions, drum sessions, or anytime they need quiet cymbals. Not only do they feel like a traditional cymbal, they produce a distinct, clearly defined bell tone, offering drummers a much more accurate and natural playing environment. Quiet tone cymbals are manufactured from a tough, durable alloy that resists dents and stains while looking great on any kit. Quiet tone practice cymbals by Sabian.
So who are your heroes coming up?
Well, all the typical heroes. I mean, you mentioned them, Art Blakey, Max Roach, Philly Joe Jones, Shelley Mann, Mel Lewis, just so many of those great drummers. Tony Williams. First time I saw somebody live was in my high school, and it was Ed Soph playing with Clark Terry's quintet.
Another great drummer.
And that really turned my head around, just to see him play and the musicality that he displayed.
I saw him play on that band with Clark.
Yeah.
It was after you'd done Woody's band.
Right.
And this great album, La Fiesta and all that stuff he did. What's it like working with Doc? Does he just give you free rein? Does he have instructions for you? Or what have you taken from working with him?
Well, really, he's just given this quartet free rein. He likes the quartet. He likes the feeling of the swingingness of it. And, of course, we're not playing Freddie Hubbard's Ariitis or Kenny Dorham's Philly Twist or things like that when he's on the bandstand. We're just playing really straight-ahead standards.
Classic jazz stuff.
Yeah, just trying to make it feel great and making him feel comfortable. But he, at the same time, can play Secret Love and use Miles Davis changes and modulations and he'll let us cut it up as much as we want to. And his whole sound changes when we do that. And that's the mark of a great musician also.
Well, part of that listening,
Absolutely.
even if you're the leader.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've just been very fortunate my whole life to be 20 foot from some of the greatest jazz players and the people that I've always revered.
I was sitting at sound check. Me and my buddy were, there he is. There's Doc right in front of me. And you can't replace that. You can't represent that any other way.
90 years old. It's after the gig, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and he's hanging out talking to everybody and telling us stories and smoking a cigar. And he doesn't look a day over 70.
No, he doesn't. And he doesn't play a day over 50. He sounds great.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Okay, I'll cut this little pause out. What else? Anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, let's see.
You got your album?
We never talked about the fact that I have 3 jazz books out.
Let's do that. Okay. Like most educators at great schools, not only do you continue to gig, but you publish. I'm sure you have some books out, do you not?
Well, I do. I've got 3 or 4 books out, actually. The first one I wrote was called Billy Hart's Jazz Drumming. And I was supposed to have a picture and a bio on the back, but I got a little credit right by the copyright. And I wrote that for Hans Gruber at Advanced Music. And then I did 2 books for Kendor. One was called Jazz Solos for Drum Set Volume 1, the solos of the great masters. So it just took people like Max and Philly and Tony Williams and Elvin and Art Blakey. And I wrote that to fill a need. Because
did you write them in that style?
I just transcribed their vocabulary, and then I took song forms like blues and rhythm changes and Surrey with a Fringe on Top for the Philly Joe solo. And I wrote those because there was this manual in New York State for kids to try out for Allstate, and it had just fusion solos and things of this nature. There was no vocabulary. So then I came out with a second book called Modern Jazz Solos for Drum Set, and there's 10 solos in that.
And who would they be?
Those were people like that I left out of the first book, like Jimmy Cobb and Roy Haynes and Jack DeJohnette and Brian Blade and those Bill Stewart, Steve Gadd, stuff like that, people like that rather, and that's had a CD, so we recorded the solos and we put bios and listening sources and things, made it a little more. Just beefed it up a little bit more. And the last book I wrote was for advanced music again. It was how to play drums in a big band. It was after the Basie band, and it was a production where everybody, all the lead players in each section, wrote their own book. And that's about 75, 80 pages long. And it's very extensive.
Great. Now, I hope some of the young players who are watching rewind and write down all those names you just mentioned, because you need to know who those people are, and they're all great drummers. And look for your book. And another one you should write down is Rich Thompson.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being having this show, doing Drummer Nation. I enjoy watching all the different drummers, and a lot of these guys are my friends and have been supporters and inspirations to me. So
that's kind of why I started it. I had so many friends in the industry who were players, who were industry folks, who were educators, who were media people, or multiple boxes checked on those people.
Oh, yeah.
And you're one of them. So I appreciate you doing this. Second time now.
Yeah.
We'll have to get you again
some
other time, all right?
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, Rich.
All right.
This is your host, Michael Vosbein, and I'd like to thank our friends at Sabian Cymbals, Sound Synergies, Stanton Moore Drum Academy, and Drum Center of Portsmouth. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.